Hello to all of you. Thank you for joining us. We're here in our new live series of talks with Dr. Michael Leitman. Hello. Hello to all of you. This is show number 1252, and we would like to talk about the different range of responses we see from the public with respect to the coronavirus. If we look at people's responses, you can see two extremes, between which you can see, well, you have complete panic on one hand and complete indifference on the other. There are people who are really, really under stress. They think it's the end of the world. They think they're certain that they're going to get coronavirus. And on the other end of the scale, you have people who are indifferent. It just passes them by. It's not that they're not afraid of getting it. It just passes them by. Why do you have such a range of responses? Dr. Leitman, well, that's human nature, from one extreme to the other. It's the same in everything in life, so why is it a wonder that we relate in such a way to something which we don't know much about? There are some who take it to be the end of the world, and the group opposite that, well, they don't even regard it at all. Oh, and so between the two extremes, you have the majority of the population, not extremely in any direction, panicking or anything. Dr. Leitman, yes, the media, the government influence these people most. Oh, and yes, so that's my question. How does the media, the general environment, atmosphere, how does it affect those people in the middle of the scale? Dr. Leitman, you see, it affects them in relation to how they relate to the virus and how to behave. It's all from the media. Owen, so you have maybe a person's, which is more powerful, a person's inclination to be more hysterical or indifferent, or the general influence of the environment? Dr. Leitman, look, it depends on the person. You have people who don't even listen to what's on TV, like they don't know what to do tomorrow, if to go out with a helmet or not, like in the army and so on. And there are people who, do we take it? Do we not? What do you need to take? What do you need to do? It depends on the person. Okay, now I want to approach one extreme of one end of the scale where you have people who are a bit more panicky. I want you to explain to me how such a person is built. Do you think they're overdoing it? Dr. Leitman, I can't say if they're overdoing it because none of us knows what will happen with a given person who will get the virus. To me, they say, you mustn't because I'm over 75. Oh, and high-risk group. Dr. Leitman, yes. Okay, so they say it's really not good for you. So I listen, and I close myself in, shut myself in. There are people who say, I don't care. I mean, it might come, but it'll pass me by. There are people who say, it's not so bad. It depends on what risk group I'm in. Dr. Owen, yes, but even in your risk group, people above 70, you'll definitely find people who are more hysterical and people who are more indifferent. Dr. Leitman, yes, because that depends on the individual. Owen, yes, okay, so let's look at a person who's more hysterical. Why does that mechanism exist in him? Dr. Leitman, well, it's all about the unknown. The unknown. What will happen? How it will happen? What do I feel? What's going on? If I'm told, oh, you're going to have the flu, then fine, I know what a flu is. Here it's unknown. People suffocate, people can't breathe. They have all kinds of seizures, maybe. They go into such panic. Maybe suddenly they're all cold. I don't know. They don't know, and that's the main thing. If I knew, well, that's fine. I'd go through it, even if not exactly, even if there's a risk. At least it's a known quantity. But here, these are things which aren't really known. And also, I see that the whole world is panicking. From morning to evening, the news is full of, well, there's nothing else in the world. If I want to listen to some news, there is no news. There's nothing. Even the weather, they relate to the coronavirus in some way. You understand? It's also kind of sort of warped. Oh, and so how should a person relate to hysterical responses that awaken in him? Dr. Lightman, it's a result of what the media feeds him. That's a direct result. Owen, in human nature, in person's inner structure, is there some mechanism that activates great panic to warn a person from danger? Dr. Lightman, of course, there's an inclination like that, but it's not that it happens to everyone like that. The problem is that you have people who are more sensitive or less, but I say that the whole thing is the media, the Ministry of Health, all the government institutes, they all want to jump on this train, so to speak, and show everyone that they know what's best. And if it's for the good, then it's there, and they said it. And if it's bad, then someone else who did it, and so on. Owen. Okay, so on the other end of the scale, we see the indifferent ones. It's not that they didn't notice that you have the coronavirus going on. They do. They know it's dangerous. You can die. You may need respiration and so on. But it's not really stressing them out. You generally also won't see them keeping all the rules, keeping safe to the utmost degree. So tell me, what's going on with the person who this whole thing is passing by? Dr. Lightman, I can't really clothe in these people. Perhaps he's behaving correctly, according to his opinion. I think we need to behave differently. Owen, how? Dr. Lightman, we need to behave in a way that is best for others. Owen, you mean? What do you mean? Dr. Lightman, I need to behave as though I'm 100% certain that I never get the coronavirus. That I'm certain. But I'm also certain that other people's safety depends on me 100%. Owen, so you're hysterical? Dr. Lightman, I'm hysterical about making sure that other people are healthy. I think only about the others. How do I need to behave in order to 100% protect the health of others? Owen, okay, so without corona, let's say we have influenza every winter. This last winter it came hard, but there is this public discussion going on if we should vaccinate against the flu or not. People who are more hysterical, they're first to go get vaccinated. Those who are indifferent, they don't understand this whole craziness going to get vaccination against something which just makes you feel a little bad for a couple of days. So you always find these two extremes, the more panicky and the more indifferent. So I'm asking you, what is the proper balanced reaction? What would you say? Dr. Lightman, well, according to the majority of doctors, the doctor is given permission to heal, as it is written. So I listen to the doctor. What he says, I do. You know? Owen, well, it's not being small-minded exactly. It's very smart. It's saying, I don't know what to do, so I listen to doctors. Do you think that's the balanced response? Dr. Lightman, well, it's the correct response. I don't know about balance. I don't know anything about balance. I just go according to what's written. It's written that the doctor was given permission to heal. Owen, so you're canceling out the person's inner inclinations. It doesn't matter if a person is indifferent or panicky. What you feel is less important. What's important is what the doctors say. Dr. Lightman, yes. The problem here with the coronavirus is that everyone begin to jump, and so you have 10 different opinions on the coronavirus from one end to the other. Owen, what to do? Dr. Lightman, well, I don't know who to listen to, because you bring one professor from here and the Ministry of Health from there, and hospital administrator from there, and then each one says a different thing. So I don't know who to listen to. Oh, and what will you do? Dr. Lightman, that's the problem, when I don't know what to do. But I act in the safest way. I think of how I can make sure to protect myself in order not to give this virus, which might be in me, to others. When I go out to the street, someone sneezes next to me, right? If he sneezed, I caught the virus. I walk 10 meters forward, and everyone I meet, I'm transmitting this virus to them. Right? Everyone I meet. That's what I'm thinking about. I think about it. Owen, look, when you go out to the street, you'll see two kinds of people. You'll see people with a mask because there's an order to have masks on, and you'll see people who, despite this order, this law, they don't wear the mask. What to do? Dr. Lightman, that's a problem. I need to wear a mask, for certain. If everyone wore face masks, then perhaps I could not wear it, but if it's like some do, some don't, then I must wear it. Oh, and okay, so let's say I'm standing with you in line to, I don't know, whatever, and I'm not wearing a mask. What will you feel? Dr. Lightman, I will feel that you are a criminal, that you care about no one. Owen, will you hate me? Dr. Lightman, yes, of course, like an enemy, like a hater, like this virus itself. Owen, that much? Dr. Lightman, as I see it, you're the person infecting everyone. I relate to you like the virus, because a few people can die, God forbid. So how else can I relate to you? Owen, okay, so now let's role play. Let's say you are the person without the mask and I'm the person with the mask. Why are you without a mask? You're without a mask because you think this is a wild exaggeration. Right? People are completely exaggerating. Dr. Lightman, no, that has nothing to do with it. I can't make such a decision. Wild exaggeration, I don't know. I need to make of myself, I need to be small-minded in a way. I need to make myself a dummy. People said to do this, I do this. That's the call of the time. Oh, and reality shows that you'll see people around in the street who do what they're told and those who don't. Dr. Lightman, you shouldn't act smart, so to speak. Be dumb. They told me what to do, I do. Oh, but you said there are many voices, many researchers, many doctors, he says this, he says that. Dr. Lightman, that's true. We have such a problem in our nation. Each one says differently, even the doctors, the histadrut, different mechanisms, each saying different thing. Oh, and so we live in this reality, and that's why you see two movements in the public. You see people who are careful about keeping the rules and those who aren't. And if you could divide them into two different countries, right? You live here, go crazy, do whatever you want. You live here, keep all the rules. But no, we meet in one space, in one nation. Let's say you work in a certain organization, you go to work, your body temperature is checked in the entrance, they ask you if you have anything, you declare that everything's fine, you go into your workplace, and who are you going to meet? People with a mask and people without a mask. What do you do? What do you feel even? I mean, before what you do, what do you feel? Dr. Lightman, it doesn't matter what I feel. I would complain to the manager of where I'm working. He must make sure that everyone wears a mask. Oh, and then people would laugh at you. They'll say you're hysterical. Dr. Lightman, it doesn't matter if I'm hysterical or not. This is the rule. Everyone must wear the mask, so that's what we do. Owen, this split I'm trying to sort of emphasize here, it invokes many conflicts between people. Dr. Lightman, yes, because it's as if you have the option of doing this or that, and each one decides for himself, right? But that's not good. If there was a law where the Prime Minister, even in our case, he would declare that tomorrow everyone wears masks from age 3 to age, I don't know. Indefinite age. Then there's no arguments. No arguments. It's like in the army. The call of the times is such that this is what we do. And whoever doesn't cannot enter the workplace, cannot enter any restaurant, any public place. The train, let's say, the bus, nowhere, taxi, nowhere. Even on the street, he can be arrested or just stopped, and people demand him to wear the mask right on the spot. And if he doesn't have one, then he can't even be in the street. And so how can you do this? Through just enforcement? You have officers, policemen, and giving fines, what? Dr. Lightman, yes, you do that for one day and then it'll be fine. But we're not ready for that exactly, because first of all, you have 1,000 different opinions from 1,000 different experts. You know, in Israel, every Jew is original voice, so to speak, and so we don't know who to listen to. I mean, with due respect to every doctor, every professor, why does he have an opinion to relate to the public? Or perhaps he has an opinion, but after that, we still need to be subordinate to a single decision. How can it be otherwise? Owen, so you thinking there are many opinions, Dr. Lightman, there can be. Owen, but ultimately, Dr. Lightman, we accept one opinion. Dr. Owen, okay, so there needs to be enforcement that doesn't leave the person any place for any personal decision making, right? Dr. Lightman, absolutely. Owen, okay, so we talked about how the response to the virus is in a range of from complete indifference to complete panic. So, with respect to the future, how do you see people relating to the disease in the future? Dr. Lightman, the same as now, complete anarchy. Owen, what do you mean? Dr. Lightman, each one does what he likes. Owen, and where will this take us? Dr. Lightman, a complete mess, chaos, no law. Owen, do you think people will tend towards indifference or towards hysterics more? Dr. Lightman, indifference. Owen, why indifference? Dr. Lightman, because they will see that each one can do whatever he wants. If previously I told you that I'm wearing the mask, I put the mask on in order to take care of others, to protect others, not myself. And that's how each person must think. He must take care of the others. If so, then we're doing the complete opposite. What do I care about others? Each one can do whatever he wants. One wears a mask, one doesn't. And that's how we behave. Just a complete mess. Dr. Lightman. Owen, so you see indifference growing. Where does this take us? Dr. Lightman. Well, we're moving away from being an organized society and organized people. Oh, and so you don't see anything good in the future? Dr. Lightman. No. Owen, so what needs to invert in our minds? What? Dr. Lightman, stop being so smart, right? A Jew always has the two opinions, right? Owen, for every two Jews, you have three opinions, as we say. Dr. Lightman, yes, so that we need to stop. Owen, or Dr. Lightman, or we'll need to pick a new prime minister every day and such like. Owen, so excuse me, do we have to act dumb? Dr. Lightman, according to our behavior, we are very dumb. Certainly, we don't have the reason to understand that we need to limit ourselves to become a more orderly people. Where I understand that I'm so smart and I have many opinions of my own, like all developed people, but I need to be even higher than that, you understand? I need to limit myself in all those things, otherwise I won't find my hands or feet and we'll all just scatter in every direction, like in the 2,000 years of exile. Oh, and there's one point I can't exactly understand. You said that each one is built differently, and this is the most natural thing in the world. You have one like this, one like that. Dr. Leitman, especially our people. Oh, and especially the Jews. Right, so you told me that Jews, each one feels himself to be very smart, that he can be the general manager of everything. So if you have such different people, certainly you will have many different behaviors. Dr. Leitman, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that beyond all these things, we have to reach a certain public agreement. A general agreement where, although this is true and it's natural to well-developed people like us, with that, as part of our development, we need to understand that we need to unite as one man with one heart, one opinion. Oh, and let's say that the public opinion is different to my own. How to relate? Dr. Leitman, bow your head. Just bow before it, agree with it, like a command in the army. Oh, and why? Dr. Leitman, because you want to be with everyone. You understand that there has to be order, and an order cannot be 1,000 different opinions. It needs to be one. And we need to choose that one opinion according to the majority, and that's it. Oh, and so the decision that will be reached at the end of the discussion, how do I as an individual need to relate to it? Dr. Leitman, happy because I'm following the majority. Oh, and why happy? It sounds depressing. Dr. Leitman, even if they're wrong and I think I'm right, and I'm right, by following the majority, I begin to accept the rule of the upper force upon me. Oh, and that's very interesting. What does that mean? Dr. Leitman, it's written that in the great multitude is the king's glory. If 80%, let's say, of the public want to wear masks, I go around with a mask with a completely calm heart. Why? Because I accept it to be a clarion call from the heavens. Owen, okay, so that I'm not confused. If Dr. Leitman, even though the other 20 or 30% who didn't vote or voted against, they're brilliant, each one of them is a professor, a doctor, and so on, I won't listen to them. I will listen to the majority of the people. Owen, why? Dr. Leitman, well, I don't know how to tell you. You can see how they argued on television. One said this, the other said that, and so on. The third said differently altogether. Because the more of an expert a person is, the more he is in doubt. Oh, and so what will the public do? Dr. Leitman, the public will do what they decide together. in the great multitude is the king's glory. Let's say 90 or 80% of the public, well, there's no place for discussion anymore. You follow that. Owen, so you add to me something that doesn't exist today. You say that beyond the fact that you have the governmental institutes, the Ministry of Health, they need to sort of set the rules, but you need to add to that general agreement by the public, and then these things should be enforced like that? Or? Dr. Reitman, no. Those experts need to bring us two opposing views. With a mask, without a mask. With a helmet, without a helmet. Right? And the people need to choose. Owen, and if there's a clear consensus that a mask is required, Dr. Reitman, it doesn't matter, the people choose. But they're never like that. They always have conflicting views. Owen, okay, so I just want to focus on this example. You say that to the existing mechanisms, we should also add a mechanism of a certain democracy in a way where the people declare, we want this. And when you have such an agreement, a person, an individual, will feel more obligated than by law. Dr. Reitman, I'm surprised with you. Shouldn't we act like that, choose like that? Oh, and seemingly yes. Dr. Reitman, well, I'm saying nothing new here. Dr. Owen, okay, so one final question, because we're out of time. We said you have people who are hysterical, people who are indifferent. What do you think is the best way to respond to the coronavirus, being in line with nature? Dr. Reitman, if I care about others, there's no room for hysterics or indifference. I just simply act in the best interest of others, for them. I walk with the mask if necessary, and so I behave. Oh, and I wish we internalized that. So thank you, Leitman. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. New Life, learning to live well.